I thought I'd adopted a pure, shy little puppy. 6'1", and one flick of my finger turned his ears scarlet clear down to his collar. Then, past midnight, a text from an unknown number lit up my phone. "Queen, did you have fun playing today?" I tapped the voice note. Same familiar voice, but wrapped in a huskiness, a predatory edge I'd never heard before. Before we keep going, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. Chase Jr., still practicing? Chin propped in one hand, I sat on the bench at the edge of the basketball court and smiled at the figure on the hardwood. Sunset plated him in gold. Sweat slid along the clean line of his jaw, dripped from the ridge of his throat, then vanished into the jersey already soaked through. 6'1", broad shoulders tapering to a narrow waist, explosive adolescent power. No wonder Riverdale University's consensus campus heartthrob. Just watching him was eye candy. When he heard me, a perfect three-pointer rippled the net. He froze, hugging the ball, and turned. The instant he saw me, color flooded his fair cheeks, and his gaze skittered everywhere. Sam. He raked nervous fingers through his hair like a big dog that knew it had chewed the wrong shoe. I curved my eyes into crescents, stood up from the bench, and walked over. My stilettos clicked against the rubberized track, tap, tap, like fingertips drumming on his heart. I stopped in front of him, tilted my 5'3" self upward, studied his burning ear tips, and let the devil out to play. One finger poked the scorching chest still steaming from exercise. "Senior came to see you. Aren't you happy?" His whole body locked up, statue still. Eyes glued to the ground, lips fluttering, he finally squeezed out. "And no, really happy." Voice smaller than a mosquito's. From the surrounding bleachers came muffled squeals and chatter. "Ah, Sam's teasing Chase again. My God, that eye contact. That height difference. I'm shipping them into orbit. Look how red he is. Who can resist a pure puppy like that?" I drank in the gossip, my smile widening. "I'm Serena, dance major senior, reigning queen of Riverdale. He's Chase, finance junior, campus heartthrob, and captain of the basketball team. We top the forum's most wanted couple poll year after year. Simple math. I love to tease, and he folds every single time." Right then, the student body president sprinted over hugging a stack of flyers. "Sam! Chase! Finally found you." Gasping, he said, "Next month's centennial finale needs a best campus couple feature. You two won the student vote, so please save us." Before I could speak, Chase was already flustered. "See couple?" He stammered. "But it's just pretend." The president shoved the proposal into my hands. "Walk around together, play a few games, snap some shots, easy. For Riverdale's honor." I skimmed the plan, looked fun. The giant beside me didn't know where to put his hands. Cuter still. "Sure," I chirped, then angled my head toward Chase and stretched the word. "My boyfriend. Any objections?" His face detonated into lobster red. Under the triple spotlight of me, the president, and the entire popcorn-munching crowd, he scraped a syllable through clenched teeth. "Okay, deal sealed." The president jogged off satisfied. Chase, strength spent, hugged his ball and mumbled to his shoes. "Senior, if that's all, I'll head back." He bolted before I could answer. Watching that retreat, I laughed out loud. Adorable, pure puppy personified. Back in my dorm, washed up and sheet-masked, I lay in bed replaying his reactions, mood buoyant. My roommate Mackenzie scooted over wearing a knowing grin. "Serena, you just live for Chase's blush, don't you?" I hummed, neither admitting nor denying. "Aren't you afraid you'll scare him off?" "Him? The face that turns red if I breathe too close?" Chicken-hearted. As we spoke, my phone pinged. Unknown number text. "Queen, still awake?" I blinked. "Queen, scammers these days open with etiquette?" I ignored it and tossed the phone aside. Seconds later, another ping. Same number, now a voice note. Impatient, I tapped play ready for some new con. Then a low, husky male laugh slid through the speaker. "Did you enjoy yourself today? Was my face fun to squeeze?" My pupils contracted. That voice. "Chase. Impossible." Daytime Chase spoke clear and clean, stumbling over every other word. This voice dripped testosterone and danger, aged red wine that set ears burning and nerves buzzing. I nearly choked on my own spit. I jackknifed upright, mask ripped off. His inner monologue? No, an actual message from him. The contrast was nuclear. Before my brain rebooted, a third text landed. "Cat got your tongue?" Shocked or savoring the feel. I inhaled, fingers trembling over the keypad. "Who is this?" Instant reply. "Queen's boyfriend." Attached, a little devil emoji. My mind blanked. The guy who couldn't meet my eyes at noon now morphed into a midnight predator? Split personality? Shy puppy by day, wolf by night? My heart hammered, thrill and curiosity detonating. I decided to probe. Proof. A photo popped up. Riverdale Court, sunset, boy in white jersey cradling a ball, and in the lower right corner, the tiny corner of my new, ultra-niche cartoon phone charm. The angle he'd snapped while fleeing. Him. Definitely him. Heat crawled up my cheeks. The junior I'd teased into silence had flipped the board, and I was suddenly the quarry. Queen, starting tomorrow, we're a couple. Looking forward to it. Reading those words, I could picture his expression. No innocent blush, but a smug, wicked smirk. Oh boy, this game just leveled up. Big time. The next morning I walked into Whitman Library, wired with mixed anticipation. According to the couple schedule, we were shooting a study date promo this morning. I spotted him instantly by the window. Crisp white shirt, sunlight pouring over thick lashes, quiet as a painting. Footsteps approached, he lifted his head. The instant he saw me, the tips of his ears flushed that same suspicious red as yesterday, and his eyes began to dart away. Senior, you're here. He stood up, awkwardly pulling out a chair for me, his movements cautious, afraid to brush against me even once. Me. If I hadn't saved last night's texts and voice messages, I would honestly have believed he was still that pure, harmless little puppy. This guy's acting is too good. I sat down and studied him without changing expression. He took out his major textbook and started reading earnestly, brows slightly knit, the picture of a model student. I tamped down the ripples inside me, also took out my book, and pretended to study. But the edge of my vision never left him. I wanted to see just how long he could keep this up. The photographer moved around us, hunting for an angle, and softly coached. Chase, relax, you can sit closer to Sam. You're supposed to be a couple. Chase's body visibly stiffened. He dawdled for ages before cautiously shifting his chair 1 centimeter toward me. Exactly 1 centimeter. I almost burst out laughing. Closer. The photographer was clearly unsatisfied. Chase drew a deep breath, as though making some huge resolution, and shifted again. This time his forearm accidentally brushed mine. As if electrocuted, he jerked back, his cheeks exploding scarlet. Sorry, senior. Looking at him, I itched inside. Where was the flirty wolf who'd teased me last night? Come out. I decided to take the initiative. I closed my book, leaned in, and pointed at a problem on his page. Junior, I don't get this one, teach me? I deliberately let my warm breath graze his ear. His body locked up again. Even his breathing stopped. His downcast lashes fluttered like butterfly wings. After a long moment, he gave a barely audible, lifted his pen, and began explaining. His voice was clear, his logic sharp, but if you listened you could hear a thread of tension. As he spoke he seemed to tire, his head tilted and, just like that, came to rest on my shoulder. The warm contact made my heart skip. Here it comes. Is it starting? I held my breath, motionless. His breathing was even. He looked genuinely asleep. Sunlight stroked his face. His skin was almost translucent, utterly defenseless, truly angelic. The doubts inside me wavered. Had last night really been my imagination? Just then, from the corner of my eye, I saw his phone on the table light up. On the screen, a photo. A girl stood at the edge of the basketball court, grinning like a cat that had stolen the cream. It was me. Yesterday afternoon, when I'd teased him. He'd actually sneaked a shot of me, and set it as his wallpaper. So the sleep was fake. What a calculating little schemer. I was half mad, half amused, and just about to wake him when the head on my shoulder nudged gently. Then a warm, large hand slid under the table and tentative covered the back of mine. His fingers were long, knuckles pronounced, the pads slightly calloused. My heart missed a beat. Riverdale's campus basketball league final. The crowd was deafening. Mackenzie and I sat in the best front row seats. Serena, look, Chase is staring at you again. Mackenzie jabbed my arm, excited. I glanced up and met Chase's gaze head-on. He stood courtside drinking, his Adam's apple rolled. The instant he saw me, he snapped his eyes away as if burned and pretended to talk to a teammate. But those reddening ears gave him away. Still the same innocent puppy look. Ever since the library fake nap. Though I wasn't fooled. This man is pure trouble. The game began. As captain, Chase was fiercer than ever. Drive, steal, layup, fluid and unstoppable, sending the girls in the stands into shrieks. He looked every inch the emperor of the court, dictating its rhythm. At halftime he walked off drenched in sweat, and came straight to me. Every gaze in the gym latched on us. He stopped in front of me, tall frame casting a shadow, smelling of clean perspiration and body wash. Senior, he panted, eyes sparkling like a big dog begging praise. Did I play well? Seeing him ask for compliments while knowing the wolf he hides, I couldn't resist teasing. I deliberately kept my face stern. So. You almost lost the ball a few times. The light in his eyes dimmed instantly. He lowered his head like a scolded golden retriever, utterly pitiful. Oh! The girls around us began defending him. Sam's so strict, right? Chase was amazing. I laughed silently, keeping my face neutral. Second half. Chase played as though stoked by fire. His eyes turned sharp, his attacks even more savage. Final minute, score tied. Chase took the ball, spun past 2 defenders under the rim, and leapt. A vicious, soaring windmill dunk. Boom! Net snapped, buzzer screamed. Riverdale won. The stands erupted. Teammates swarmed him. Yet, cradled by that crowd, he did something that sent another wave of screams through the gym. He yanked up his jersey and scrubbed the sweat from his face. 8-pack abs and sleek V-cut lines flashed under the lights, on full display. Ah! The girls lost their minds. Even I blinked, startled. At that moment his eyes sliced through the celebrating masses and locked on me. Then, where no one else could see, he flicked me the quickest, lightest curve of his lips. Not a puppy's smile at all. It was the wolf's, smug, challenging, possessive. My heart lurched. As if to say, Queen, still think I'm only a so-so? Days of unending drizzle had left the city soaked. No classes this afternoon. I'd planned to laze in the dorm, but Mackenzie's call dragged me out. Serena, emergency. The student council needs a document delivered to West Campus offices right now. I've got killer cramps, please run it for me. I sighed in resignation, changed, and left. Of course the sky turned on me. Halfway there, fat raindrops began hammering down. I'd forgotten my umbrella. Watching the downpour thicken, I ducked into a bus stop shelter. Wind drove slanted rain chilly. I hugged my arms. While I debated whether to dash or call a ride, a black umbrella appeared above me. Startled, I turned. It was Chase. Plain white t-shirt, umbrella propped overhead, standing quietly behind me. Senior, what are you doing here? His voice was as clear as ever, laced with worry. Errand. Forgot my umbrella, I said. I'll walk you. He stepped naturally to my side, tilting most of the canopy over me. Rain slid off the rim like a little curtain. We walked side by side through the downpour, silence between us. I could smell the clean scent of him, mixed with the green bite of rain-soaked grass. Nice. His shoulder was quickly soaked by the rain. The umbrella's tilted, I reminded him. No, it's not, he muttered, yet he nudged the umbrella even farther over me. My heart warmed. This man, whether in puppy mode or wolf mode, has thoughtfulness carved into his bones. When we reached the building where the professor's office was, he stopped. Senior, I'll leave you here. Okay, thanks, Junior. I took the file bag from his hand and turned to go upstairs. Senior. He stopped me again. I looked back, puzzled. He stood in the curtain of rain, his tall figure a little blurred. He stepped closer, bent down. I thought he was going to say something, and instinctively leaned in. His warm breath, laced with rain's dampness, brushed my ear and sent a faint shiver through me. Then I heard him, using that familiar, husky wolf voice only the two of us knew, whisper. If Queen doesn't leave now, I won't be able to hold back. Hold back what? My brain buzzed blank. By the time I came back to my senses, he had already stepped away, back to his pure, harmless look, waving at me. See you, Senior. He turned, opened his umbrella, and walked off into the rain. I stood there, touching my burning ear, heart drumming. This man is too good. Just when I'm getting used to his puppy mask, he flashes his wolf claws and scratches me until I'm itching everywhere. The centennial couple stunt rolled along smoothly. Chase and I left plenty of sweet snapshots around campus. To outsiders it looked like bold Senior kept taking the lead, while shy Junior passively accepted. Only I knew every time I seemed to be flirting, I was actually being lured by his invisible bait. That night I was in my room wrestling with my thesis when my phone buzzed. Chase. No, Wolf, Chase. Queen, open the door. I jumped and glanced at the dorm door. Are you insane? This is Kappa Hall. Look out the window. Half doubting, I stepped onto the balcony and looked down. In the darkness, a lean figure stood in the garden beneath the dorm, tilting his head toward me. It was him. He wore all black sweats and a baseball cap. Under the street lamp, his profile looked carved. Spotting me, he curved his lips and raised the bag in his hand. Then, mouthing each word, come. Down. Get. It. My heart lurched. Crazy, he really was crazy. It was past curfew. How could I get down? I waved frantically, signaling him to leave. He didn't budge, pulling out his phone to call me. I answered in a panic. Chase. Go. If the house mom sees you, we're toast. I hissed. A low chuckle, magnetic enough to turn my knees soft, came through. If Queen doesn't come down, I'm not leaving. You, I sputtered. What do you want? To bring you late-night takeout. You said you'd be grinding on your paper. Didn't want you hungry. My heart melted, but my mouth stayed stubborn. I don't want it, go back. Oh, he dragged the syllable. Inside are the limited edition mango mochi from the place you love. I queued forever. Sure you don't want them? Mango mochi. I swallowed shamefully. Fine. Wait there. I hung up, changed like a thief, and tiptoed out of the dorm. Luck was on my side. The house mom was dozing. I jogged all the way to the garden. When Chase saw me, he handed over the bag, then caught my wrist in one smooth move. His hand was hot, the grip unyielding. He pulled me under a big tree's shadow. His tall frame covered me completely. Why the rush? He asked, smiling down at me. Because we could get caught. I glared. So what? He laughed softly, bending closer so his breath swept my cheek. If we're found out, it just cements our couple status. His face filled my vision in the darkness. I could count his long lashes as our breaths mingled. The air went sticky sweet. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would leap out. I felt he was about to. Then came the housemom's cough nearby. I jolted and shoved him away. I'm going up. Clutching the takeout bag, I bolted back into the dorm like ghosts were chasing me. Behind me, his amused laugh stayed low and pleased. Back in my room, I leaned against the door, panting, cheeks hot enough to fry eggs. I opened the bag. Besides the mango mochi, there was a bottle of warm milk. On the bottle, he'd drawn a smiley face with marker and written 2 words. Good night. His handwriting clean, decisive. I stared at those letters, sweet turmoil swirling inside. This man, angel by day, devil by night. And I think I'm starting to like both faces. Chase's and my scandal blazed hotter across Riverdale. Most people shipped us, but a few sour notes sounded, especially among Chase's girl fan crowd, who hated how aggressive Senior supposedly was. One noon, I was eating in the Union when a guy in a rival college sweatshirt set his tray opposite me. Excuse me, are you Riverdale's Sam? He looked loaded, designer watch, superiority in every syllable. I didn't know him but nodded politely. I am. He flashed what he clearly thought was a killer smile. I'm Derek from Eastbrook. Heard a lot about Dylan. Our fathers are old friends with Jamie, so I guess our families go way back. Jamie? My dad. I frowned. I never flash family credentials on campus. We're not acquainted. I answered coolly and went back to my food. Derek's grin froze. He hadn't expected the brush off. Just then Chase walked over with his tray. Seeing Derek, he paused, then slid smoothly into the seat beside me. Senior, he said, plucking the drumstick from his plate and dropping it into mine, so practiced it felt like the 1000th time. Derek's face darkened. He sized Chase up, noting the slightly faded tee, and contempt flickered in his eyes. And this is? My boyfriend, I answered loud and clear, beating Chase to it. Chase's ears went scarlet. Derek gave a snorting laugh, volume perfectly pitched for nearby tables. Dylan, your taste is special. With so many well-matched options, you pick a poor student. What for? His youth and stamina. The insult hung in the air. The whole dining hall quieted. I clenched my fork, about to explode. What did you just say? An icy voice cut in from beside me. Startled, I turned. Chase had set his chopsticks down. He lifted his gaze to Derek. In that instant, every trace of shyness and innocence vanished from his face, replaced by a bone-deep coldness and crushing pressure. That wasn't the look of a harmless puppy, not even the playful little wolf that usually teased me. This was the gaze of a true beast whose reverse scale had been touched. The entire aura around him had shifted. Derek's scalp prickled under Chase's stare, but he stiffened his neck and kept blustering. What did I say? I'm only stating facts. A penniless student who can't even afford decent clothes. How is he worthy of Serena? As he spoke, he reached for my wrist. Serena, stop wasting time with him. Come with me. Before his fingers could brush me, a stronger hand snapped tight around his arm. It was Chase. He rose, his tall frame casting a huge shadow of pressure. His grip was shocking. Derek's face twisted in pain. Let go. What do you think you're doing, pauper? Chase's eyes were ice. Take your hand off her. His voice wasn't loud, but each word drove in like an ice pick, striking everyone's heart. The Union fell dead silent. The whole crowd was stunned by the sudden scene. Was this still that shy, soft-spoken campus heartthrob Chase? This aura was terrifying. Without even glancing at Derek, who was grimacing, Chase turned to me. His gaze softened the moment it landed on my face. He used his free hand to draw me gently behind him, a protective gesture. Only then did he face Derek again, contempt and disdain in his eyes 100 times heavier than Derek's earlier scorn. Who she is, his voice carried a lazy sneer, gives you no right to touch her. With that he flicked his wrist, flinging Derek aside like trash. Derek staggered, plopping onto the floor in disgrace. Chase didn't bother looking at him again. He simply took my hand and turned to leave. Let's go. I let him pull me along, walking mechanically, my mind still reeling. Behind us, the union erupted into roaring chatter. OMG, Chase was so alpha just now. Total boyfriend power overload. That stare killed me. So this is the real face of our campus idol? I love him even more. He led me all the way to a deserted corner of the riverside lawn before letting go and turning around. The frost in his eyes had melted, reverting to his usual look, though his brows stayed tightly knit. Senior, are you okay? Did he hurt you? I stared at him, opened my mouth, but no words came. The scene just now had hit me too hard. It was a Chase completely alien, commanding, aggressive. When I didn't answer, he grew anxious, thinking I was scared. Senior, don't be afraid, Chase. I cut in, meeting his eyes and asking word by word. Who exactly are you? My question silenced him instantly. He looked at me, conflicted, helpless, an emotion I couldn't read flickering through his gaze. Finally, he only sighed. Senior, I'm sorry. He didn't answer, he just apologized. After that day, Chase seemed to revert to the shy junior of first acquaintance. Even more cautious, deliberately keeping his distance. He stopped sending those flirty late-night texts, no longer provoked me as that wolf. Our couple activities continued, but to outsiders an invisible wall now stood between us. Riverdale began buzzing with rumors that we'd broken up. I felt restless, irritated. I had to admit, I kind of missed that lawless little wolf dog. Rowan, I got a call from my dad ordering me home for a business dinner. My father, Jamie, chairman of Vance Group, a workaholic. I'd always hated those hypocritical social affairs, but a father's word is final. I changed into a tailored gown, applied light makeup, and walked into the glittering grand on his arm. Come, Serena, let me introduce you, Dad said, bringing me to a refined middle-aged man. This is Mr. Sterling of Sterling Realty. Nice to meet you, Uncle Sterling, I greeted politely. Mr. Sterling smiled and nodded, then called over his shoulder. Chase, come greet Avery and Serena Queen. The familiar name made my heart skip. A tall figure stepped out from behind him, black suit impeccably cut, hair combed back revealing a smooth forehead. Without his usual bangs, his features looked sharper, authority radiating from him. That face was unmistakably Chase. Yet the noble, aloof air was something I'd never seen. He stopped before us and inclined his head slightly. Avery. Then his gaze landed on me, lips curving into that playful smirk I knew so well, the little wolf grin. Sam, he drawled, eyes full of mischief, we meet again. While Dad and Mr. Sterling exchanged pleasant chatter. Haha, so the kids already know each other. Schoolmates too, what fate. Yes, our Chase keeps a low profile at school. I hope Serena doesn't mind. I stared at this man in a tailored suit who looked born to command, then recalled his shy, white t-shirt persona on campus. My worldview shattered into pieces at that moment. Sole heir to Sterling Realty. What a display of keeping a low profile at school. What a splendid poor student. Chase tugged me from the noisy grand out to a deserted open balcony. Night wind blew away my turmoil and ruffled his hair. So, I folded my arms, struggling to keep my voice calm. Basketball captain, finance prodigy, innocent little junior, all an act. Leaning against the railing, he lifted 2 flutes of champagne from a passing waiter and handed me one. Not entirely. He sipped, eyes locking on mine. I really do love basketball and finance, and I am a junior. As for innocent, he chuckled softly, moving to my ear to whisper in that familiar husky tone. Does Queen think I'm innocent? Heat rushed to my cheeks. I pushed him away. Stop dodging. Why the disguise? His smile faded, expression turning serious. Because the first time I saw you was at freshman convocation. You wore a white dress on stage, so bright you seemed to glow. His voice lowered, as if sharing a long-kept secret. Later I heard, you liked the cute, obedient type. I froze. When had I ever said that? Oh, right. Once while joking around with Mackenzie, I'd said I wanted a little puppy I could handle. He'd actually overheard. So you played the puppy to get close to me. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He nodded, utterly frank. I wanted you to notice me. And the wolf at night? I pressed. A flicker of regret crossed his eyes. An accident. I meant to keep pretending, but I couldn't hold back. Couldn't hold back what? Couldn't hide the real me from you, he said, gaze blazing. Couldn't stop myself from wanting to possess you. My heart slammed hard against his final sentence. So from start to finish, it had never been my game alone. He too had been drawing closer to me, step by step, in his own way. Then, that day in the Union, he had it coming. Chase's voice went ice cold instantly. No one gets to talk about you like that. Watching him defend me, the last flicker of anger in my chest dissolved, leaving only a sweet sour ache. I ducked my head and mumbled, "Then why did you avoid me afterward?" "I was afraid I'd blow my cover," he exhaled. "Afraid you'd hate me once you knew the truth." The balcony wind cooled my cheeks. I studied him. This man 1 year younger than me, yet so calculating, every move plotted. I smiled. "Chase, are you stupid?" He froze. I rose on tiptoe, looped my arms around his neck, and kissed him while he stared in shock. "I admit I love teasing your puppy side," I whispered against his lips. "But I think I love your wolf side even more." Chase was clearly dumbstruck by my sudden kiss. He stood wooden, letting me Ellis him. Only when I stepped back did he blink awake. Dark sparks flared in his eyes. "Queen," his voice was gravel, "you're playing with fire." "So what if I am?" I challenged. "Dare to catch it." He chuckled low, the hot sound thrumming through my ribs. The next second he seized control, cupping the back of my head and deepening the kiss. Unlike my light taste, his carried fierce aggression and a possessive streak, as if to swallow me whole. After the Gala chase drove me back to campus. No more disguises. He pulled up in a convertible I couldn't name, but could tell cost a fortune. He stopped outside Kappa Hall. I unclicked my seatbelt and reached for the door. "Wait!" He stopped me. I turned to see him lift a velvet box from the glove compartment. "What's this?" He said nothing, only opened the box. Inside lay a delicate anklet with star charm, a tiny star dangling from the chain. "For you." "Why an anklet?" "Because," he lifted it, bent to capture my ankle, and fastened it himself. "It'll lock you tight." The cool chain against my skin set my heart on fire. This man's possessive streak was off the charts. And I, to my own surprise, loved every link of it. He walked me to the steps. I stood on the top, he on the bottom. For once I was taller. I gloated down at him. "Chase, now I'm above you." Looking up, his eyes held a tenderness that could drown me. "Yeah, now you're above me." My pulse skipped. I bent to kiss him. But he anticipated, stepped up at the same moment, and caught my lips with perfect aim. One arm circled my waist, the other cradled my nape, pinning me securely on the step. "No," he breathed against my mouth. "This way, I can keep looking up at you forever." My heart surrendered completely. Our relationship flipped from rumored couple to official in theatrical style. When he rolled up in that flashy convertible, stepped out, and opened my door in front of everyone, Riverdale University exploded. Hashtag Campus King is hidden rich kid. Hashtag Dual Dynasty CP confirmed. Threads on Riverdale stacked like skyscrapers. And he whisked me to the off-campus study loft he rented. Facing the minimalist luxury penthouse loft with floor-to-ceiling skyline glass, I tugged one corner of my mouth. "Sure, a study loft. Hungry? I'll cook." He pulled 2 pairs of slippers from the cabinet, pink, blue. I slipped mine on and watched him head to the open kitchen, tying an apron. A billionaire heir, washing rice for me. The scene felt surreal. I leaned in the doorway, staring at his back. He diced tomatoes with chef-level knife skills. "Why are you staring?" he asked without turning, as if eyes grew in the back of his head. "Admiring the view," I answered honestly. His knife paused, the tips of his ears reddened. So even in wolf mode, he could still blush. I walked over and hugged his lean waist from behind. "Chase, when did you learn to cook?" "For you." He turned off the burner, trapping me between his chest and the quartz counter. "I plan to fatten you up." He dipped a finger in the pan's tomato sauce and raised it to my lips. "Taste." I opened, sucking the sauce from his finger. His body locked, his irises darkened. Before I could register flavor, he bent and kissed me. Sweet tangy tomato spread between our tongues. When he finally let go, forehead to forehead, his breath scorched. He licked his lip, voice husky. Sweeter than the sauce." My face burst into flames. Day mode and night mode were blending. He could be the boy who blushed while cooking, and the devil who could melt my knees with one flick of a verb. Once we went public, Chase's possessive streak flared brighter. He wanted to tattoo mine on the sky. That afternoon I was in lecture when my phone buzzed. Chase was calling. He should have been chairing Sterling Group's board Zoom. Afraid it was urgent, I crept into the hall and answered. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." His voice was honey. "I just missed you." "Me?" He phoned mid-board meeting for this? "I'm in class, go back," I urged. "When do you finish?" "I'll pick you up." "An hour." "Got it. I'll wait." In the background his assistant fretted. "Mr. Sterling, the directors are waiting." Chase ignored him, still murmuring to me. "Serena, what should we eat tonight?" "Whatever, hang up already." "Okay," he relented. "But kiss me first." I glanced down the empty hall, then pecked the speaker fast. "Done. Bye." His satisfied laugh drifted through. See you tonight. I exhaled, feeling like a co-conspirator. What I didn't know. Inside Sterling's top-tier video conference, after he hung up on 12 stunned elders, Chase straightened his tie and smiled. Apologies, gentlemen. That was my wife. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and share with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more exciting tales. See you next time.